Today, we're going to try and remain a step ahead of death. My guest today is Dr. Scott McPherson, a family physician here in Lincoln, as well as a published novelist. Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So, besides being a busy family practitioner on call all the time and a family man with grandchildren, now you're also a published novelist.
Yes.
How did that come together for you?
Well, you know, it was kind of a surprise to actually get a book published, but it was a lot of fun doing it, and the whole process was a lot lengthier than I expected it to be, but it was fun.
Good. So, how did your writing career begin?
Well, I started just writing thoughts and ideas, and eventually I started expanding that, and it turned into some speculation that I kept writing, and it finally turned into a story that progressed, and I turned it in finally to a novel. I pulled in separate subplots and a main plot, and it turned into a very good story that I was able to get through a publishing process and have published.
So, without giving away too much, what's the basics of the story?
Well, it's about a 50-some-year-old family practice doctor from Lincoln, Nebraska, who actually is out walking and exercising on the bike path and stumbles on a dead body.
A dead body.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that. So, how do you're out walking? You do that on a regular basis?
I do.
Okay.
On that very bike path. But this is fiction.
Okay. So you came up with this idea of what would happen if I came upon a body.
What would happen? What could happen?
What could happen? So you collect all this together and you start sending it out to publishers?
Right. Once I had finished the book and had all the ideas and thoughts on paper, had gone through an editing process, and I sent it to many people to have them read it and tell me what they thought about it, and made a lot of changes. It took about a year to write it, 6 months or so to make those changes, and then I submitted it to publishers.
Okay.
There's a book called The Writer's Market, and it is published each year, and that book has all the publishing companies in the United States listed in it, and they list them by genre, so you pick the ones that have fiction or that write romance or whatever. You can choose the one that you want to work with, and then it's sub-indexed, so you can kind of pull out a list of those.
Okay.
From that, I was able then to go to the websites, find out what it takes to submit a manuscript to that publishing company. Now, some of them don't take any right now, because you either have to be an established author with them or well-known, and I was neither of those. So some of them wanted it in print, some of them wanted it electronically sent, some of them just wanted a few pages to tell them about the book. That was actually the hardest, because trying to describe a 450-page or 500-page book in a few pages or even a few lines is not easy to do.
I'm sure that's true.
So once I had narrowed it down to maybe 20 to 30 publishing companies, I started the submission process, sent the information to those various companies. I have a few rejection letters right away, and then a long time with nothing. And so I started thinking about self-publishing. It's a different process, and a lot of authors today do that. They actually go to a company who helps them with editing and provides art and everything, but you pay for the books themselves, and then you do the marketing, you take it to bookstores, the expense is out of your own pocket, and that was a fairly high cost. I decided not to do that.
So when they say self, they really mean self-publishing?
Absolutely, yes, it's expensive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was about to change direction a little bit, and I'd already started on my second book at that point, when I got a letter from a company called Comfort Publishing. It was about a year after I sent my submission to them. And they asked me if they could publish the book. We had a contract, signed it, and it took another year after that was done to actually get it into print. And it's been in print now a year.
Great. So you've sold a few books.
Yeah, I've sold books. You can buy them in the local bookstores. You can buy them online.
Okay.
And it is now available as a Nook or a Kindle version as well.
Great. So we've gone into electronic publishing.
Correct. Though there's no audiobook yet or a movie, but
but you're willing to play the part.
Yes, very willing to do that. Yeah.
That would be fun to have a movie contract out of this. So you went through a process of finding a publisher, working through that without an agent, without anyone to guide you.
Right, and you can find agents in that book that I mentioned, The Writer's Market.
Okay.
It lists agents as well, and I did send some submissions to agents, but they take a part of your royalties, and they also probably won't pick somebody that they don't know about until you've maybe had a fairly successful book. because they take time and effort as well. They're not going to do it for free.
Mm-hmm.
And
So,
I still don't have an agent.
did you have input into the cover and things like that as well?
They have a graphic artist at the publishing company that I used, and they made some recommendations, sent me a copy of it. The first one they sent me I didn't really care for, and they asked me what changes would you make, and I gave them those thoughts, and then they sent back the second one, and I really liked it, so I used that one as the cover. You could do that a couple of times, but they will limit you to how many times they'll put their effort into it. Then you have to start helping out with the cost.
Now, I have not read the book yet,
Okay.
I have to confess, but I know that you made a change in the story based on a little piece on the cover.
Well, the picture on the cover has a woman's hand, and that is the person that was found in the ditch. And in the picture, they had this very nice ring, and I decided that ring should stay. It wasn't in the book, but I entered it into the book after I saw the picture.
Excellent. Well, that's kind of a neat way for the visual and the story to come together.
Yeah.
You mentioned you're on to book 2, is that right?
Yes. The second book really is a prequel. The same character, but it's 20 years earlier. And in that book, he is a missionary in Africa. I still haven't heard from the publishing company yet if they're going to publish it. I'm waiting. Hopefully that will be a decision they'll make soon.
That would be great. And I know that you've had that experience, so that was, was comfortable for you to write about.
Well, it does make a difference if you know something about the subject about what you're writing. And that's why I have written about a doctor. That's why I've written about a missionary. That's why I've written some other things, although I can't say I know anything about murder.
Well, I'm certain our viewers will be glad to hear that, especially those that see you as their physician.
Yes. Except what I've read.
Okay, okay. What would you share with our viewers about going through this process?
I think that the main thing is just do it with the idea that this is enjoyable. I didn't do it with the idea that I was going to make anything out of it or that I'd use this as a source of income, but just as a process that I've enjoyed, and it's been fun. Yeah, it's been interesting to see how many books sell. It's also fun to go to a book signing and have people tell you that they like your book and sign a book and author, that you're the author of the book. But that's probably the main thing, is enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, you aren't going to continue it. And write about something that, everybody has a story. You can take what you know and fictionalize it, and that can turn into something very good.
Good. So the process is just start writing and then get it out there and
That's right.
keep working through it.
I did try reading a book about how to write, and I couldn't continue because it wasn't the way I wrote.
That was not helpful to you at all.
No.
Wow. Scott, we wish you well. I know you're still serving the military.
Yes.
And what branch are you in?
I'm in the Air National Guard.
Okay.
And I serve here in Nebraska at our Guard base in Lincoln.
Well, thank you much for your service to our country.
Thank you.
And congratulations on publishing that first one. We'll hope that second one gets out of the can soon.
Very good. Thanks.
That'd be great. Thanks for being here today.
Good. Glad to be here.
And Live and Learn will be right back.
What does Medicare cover? How can I afford to keep living in my home? When I need help with house and yard work, who can I turn to? Why am I so tired? Am I eating right? Should I exercise? Where can I go for answers to my questions about aging?
Aging Partners is the place to call when you have questions on aging. Our experts are here to help you with unbiased answers for you or your loved ones. Aging Partners, we're only a phone call away.